Wait a minute. This isn't our story. The drugs we'll talk about don't have to be smuggled. They come with prescriptions, or they can be purchased at any drugstore. Nearly everyone takes drugs, for one reason or another. One of the most popular drugs is ethanol, or alcohol. With most people, drugs would be no problem, except that this is also the age of the motor car. Bring in cross streets, and you've introduced the need for constant decision-making. Anything that affects your skill in making these decisions affects your and other people's safety. Alcohol has been recognized as a major factor in car accidents, particularly fatal accidents, for years. Why? Well, one of the drinking driver's problems is overconfidence. Alcohol has a different effect than most drivers think. They think liquor gives them a lift. It doesn't. They think they're better behind the wheel. They're not. Alcohol begins to put the central nervous system to sleep. It minimizes inhibitions, lessens social restraints. This is the so-called lift, the impression of stimulation. The University of California has conducted exhaustive tests on this subject.
It is my observation that a person with a few drinks may be able to go through the basic driving motions. While under the influence, he probably can perform one segment of the driving task just as well as if he were sober. But when it comes to more complex actions and the ability to make fast, accurate driving decisions, he gets into trouble. More than 50% of all fatal automobile accidents involve drinking drivers. Only 2 or 3 drinks may be enough to fatally affect anyone's driving skills.
Alcohol is relatively easy to detect. It shows up in the blood or the urine. Other drugs, amphetamines, barbiturates, marijuana, may also be suspected from the driver's action. Bookings are on the increase. But of all the collisions and fatal accidents that occur, how many are caused by brand name remedies and prescription drugs? How many traffic victims are actually innocent offenders? Innocent by virtue of ignorance. Seldom are people warned that the effect of the drugs in their prescription is unpredictable and may cause dizziness, nausea, blackouts. Or the person may not bother to read the warning on the label of proprietary drugs. Not every innocent offender has come back to tell what happened. But Ed Ryan, now employed by the state of California, lived to tell of such an experience.
A few years ago, I was a police reporter. I was troubled with hay fever and asthma. Antihistamine pills were prescribed, and I guess there was a warning on the label, but I didn't read it.
Luck alone, about 10 feet of it.
is why I'm still alive.
Somehow, at the last minute, Ed Ryan snapped out of it. He's more careful now with any medicine. The effects of drugs on automobile skills has been and will continue to be the object of intensive research.
For every real accident, there are hundreds of close calls. The difference between a hit and a near miss lies in the way we react. And these subtle differences, measured in milliseconds, can be traced to our central nervous system. With this driving simulator, we create a set of controlled and repeatable circumstances where we can measure these subtle differences. The unfortunate side effects of some cold remedies, tranquilizers, and diet pills vary. But as with alcohol, they all act on the central nervous system. Particularly unfortunate are combinations of drugs.
In a California study of fatal single vehicle accidents, 13% of the drivers were under the influence of drugs. Laboratory equipment is used to test for drugs or narcotics. The gas chromatograph can detect drugs like barbiturates in a driver's blood. But how do drugs affect driving skills? Most effective is a demonstration under driving conditions. In cooperation with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, such an experiment was supervised by a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, and safety engineers. The subjects, a 32-year-old man and a 28-year-old woman. Both drivers were in good physical condition. They drove the 6-mile course all day. A rectangular block area selected for its remoteness, its low rate of traffic flow. The same sleepless routine for both. Awake all night for 25 hours of constant driving. With dawn, the grinding pace slowed as fatigue set in. Mid-morning of the second day, the girl was given a Seconal capsule, a barbiturate. Seconal should accentuate her fatigue. The man received an amphetamine, a stimulant. This should prolong his ability to drive, but may lead to a sudden letdown. The drivers were directed back to the test course. An ambulance rode in attendance for emergency purposes. With the combination of lack of sleep and a barbiturate, the girl had to fight to stay awake. Even the man's senses and reactions were dulled. They could have reacted by driving faster than normal. In the case of the girl, however, the pace of travel slowed to 20 miles an hour as she attempted to maintain control. Finally, the combined effect of the drug and fatigue defeated her. With dual driving controls, her co-pilot brought the car to a safe stop. In regular traffic, she could have been killed. The man retained his cool, although 5 hours later, as the drug used up his reserve energy at a faster than normal rate, he collapsed and slept for 18 hours. Fortunately, he was safe at home. One drug alone can be bad enough, but combinations of drugs or drugs combined with alcohol can spell disaster. A number of cases involving injury and death have been investigated by the UCLA Medical Center.
Mrs. B at 50 wasn't really fat, but as a precaution, she took reducing pills she purchased at the drugstore. A clubwoman and a civic worker, she was under some stress, and her doctor prescribed a tranquilizer. He didn't know about the reducing pills.
With pills alternately stimulating and depressing her nervous system, she attended a luncheon where she had a glass of sherry. Hardly a drink, but nevertheless alcohol. A little later, pulling out of a parking lot, she blindly crossed the street.
Apparently, she never knew what happened.
She plowed through a bus loading zone, killed a girl, and seriously injured an adult woman. She continued through a shopping center parking lot, smashed a few fenders, sideswiped 2 cars, hit a construction loading ramp, and flipped 6 feet short of a store window.
The combination of medicines, one small drink, and not wearing a safety belt capped the score. Mrs. B had been an innocent offender.
If you drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you knowingly take a chance. Alcohol is a drug that induces overconfidence. Medicinal or prescription drugs can be equally dangerous. Their effects are unpredictable. Drugs combined with alcohol may be lethal. The multiplication factors get out of hand. Quick reaction time and constant decision-making capabilities are increasingly necessary for the safe operation of an automobile. For every real accident, there are 100 close calls. The difference will be measured in milliseconds. How well you react in these fractions of time is up to you. The decision will be yours.